BMS, and welcome to the March edition of What's New in the Library. I am hoping that soon we can all go enjoy the beautiful spring weather that I am sure will eventually come. But for right now, most of us are still tucked inside in the wintry cold. So why not talk about some new books? The first one I want to talk about is called 5 Feet Apart. And this one is about two kids, Stella and Will. Stella has a condition where her lungs are always full of fluid and gunk, and she is in and out of hospitals all the time. She is so sick of being trapped in hospitals. Will has been fighting cancer for a long time, and he is also sick of being trapped in hospitals. Well, Stella is on the transplant list hoping to get a new pair of lungs, and so she cannot go near anyone. The rule is 5 feet apart. No going near anyone. Well, the problem is she meets Will. And staying 5 feet, 6 feet apart from Will is torture. So this is a love story. It is not young adult. If you like The Fault in Our Stars a few years ago, you would love the book 5 Feet Apart. So this next book is realistic fiction, and I just think it's a super cool book. It's called The Last Wish of Sasha Cade, and the main character's name is Raquel. Now, Raquel's best friend Sasha has just died of cancer. Long battle. Raquel totally knew it was coming, and she feels crushed. She's lost her best friend. So if you knew you were going to die, what would you do to help your best friend move on? Well, Sasha Cade sends her best friend on a scavenger hunt. Just right after she dies, a letter arrives in the mail for Raquel, and it's from Sasha. And she's like, "Did she writing me from the afterlife?" No. She sends her on a scavenger hunt that ends at her grave. And there's somebody waiting there that's going to help her heal. So, super cool book, super sad, dealing with grief and overcoming grief, which is something I think a lot of us have dealt with in our lives. And if you haven't dealt with grief, you will at some point in your life. So I highly recommend The Last Wish of Sasha Cade. So the last book I want to talk to you about this month is also brand new, and it's in our paranormal section, which is not a section a lot of people are familiar with. We created it kind of because we felt like these books didn't belong in fantasy. So if you like paranormal books, you understand them. They're not paranormal like scary ghosts. Paranormal books involve witches, wizards, werewolves, mermaids, sirens, fallen angels, all that kind of stuff, vampires, everything, zombies, that go to high school. So that sounds crazy, but if you've ever heard of Twilight or The Vampire Diaries or Vampire Academy, that's what we're talking about. So mystical creatures, magical monsters that live normal lives. Very weird, but it's a thing. And I happen to love to read it. And I want to talk to you guys about this new one this month. It's called The Seventh Born. Okay, great cover. Check out that girl. Ah! Good book. So let me tell you about it. She's the 7th born daughter to a mother who is a witch. And because she is born, her mother loses all of her magical power and eventually dies. Her name is Sarah, which is short for Seraphina. And she is orphaned and alone. And she ends up at the school where she kind of has a hot temper and she accidentally catches things on fire and she doesn't make a lot of friends until one professor catches her interest. And he tells her that if she'll come be his apprentice and learn from him, that he'll give her the recommendation she wants to get into the Inspector Academy. And so she starts working with him. And she finds all kinds of crazy things on the outskirts of witch life. Things like raising people from the dead and witches being burned alive and other crazy, wild things happening. So it is, again, about a witch in the witching world, except she's living a semi-normal life in a high school. So this is called 7th Born again. So if that sounds good to you, kind of a deep, dark, mystery, fantasy, paranormal twist, you can check that one out. Okay, let's see what else has come in this month. New in graphic novels this month, we have a new Nathan Hale's Hazardous Tales. This one's called Lafayette, about the Revolutionary War, and Hidden Witch. In realistic fiction, we have The Prophet Calls. This one looks pretty good. Sleeping Jeans. No Talking. This one's actually been around a while. We lost it, got it back. My Whole Truth. This one's pretty heavy. The one I talked about earlier, The Last Wish of Sasha Cade. Even If I Fall. As simple as it seems, that Night. In paranormal, we got Seventh Born, the one you heard me talk about earlier. In nonfiction, we got I Survived True Stories, Tornado Terrors, and a great new book about the life of Jackie Robinson, one of the most famous baseball players ever. In mystery this month, we got in Watch Hollow. And two young adult mysteries, Sawkill Girls and How She Died, How I Lived. This one is also a throwback. I Know What You Did Last Summer. It was really popular in the 90s. In fantasy, we got book 3 in Kinder Blake series. This is Two Dark Reigns. In romance, we have the one I talked about earlier, 5 Feet Apart. In action and adventure, we have North to Benjamin, a new survival story. In science fiction, we have book 2 and 3 in the Ashfall series, Ashen Winter and Sunrise, and a new one called Other Earth. Okay guys, that's it for the March edition of What's New in the Library. I hope everybody has a great month.